Hey guys, it's Luetin here, and this is my 15,000 subscriber video. I want to thank everybody for supporting me and helping the channel out. I really appreciate it, and I didn't think I'd even get to this stage, to be honest, and I'm very pleased with how everything's going. Now, today's video is a little bit unusual, and I'm going to tell you what it is so that if you don't want to watch it, you don't have to watch it. I have spoken about different things that I've done over time many times, and one big thing that I did was just over 2 years ago now, I went to Nepal, and it was part of a charity trip where we did a lot of walking in the mountains, and we went and visited some of the projects that the charity support. The charity is called Deafway, and it was for supporting deaf children in Nepal and also in the UK, and we were raising money for that. It's something that my cousin's involved with, so on this trip a couple of my family members came along, as well as other people as well. Now this whole video is pretty much going to be stills just faded through, and I'm going to be talking about the trip and the journey. There is a couple of little video excerpts or whatever, but it is a really good sort of journey, and it was an experience for me, and I think that my proper dedicated subscribers will really enjoy it, and I did say in the past that I would do this video, so that's why I'm doing it today. I hope that you'll join me and want to come along and read this. It's only 20 minutes, so I've really cut it down. I hope people don't mind as well. Some of the stills are a little bit short because I had to keep it moving because there is a lot. This is even only the first part of the journey. This is actually the first week. We went for about, what was it about? It was over 2 weeks, I think, so it was a little while anyway. It was quite a while. This is in Kathmandu, where we started off in Nepal. The whole trip was quite a mission to get there because we had to fly from London to Bahrain and then on from Bahrain to Nepal. And this is your kind of average street scene. This is where we were staying roughly. This was the view from my hotel here, and we're just kind of getting used to things there, getting acclimatized, getting used to the temperature and so on before we moved on. We were going out in the evening, and as you can see, in Nepal they still have load sharing, so there's not a lot of electricity, and it's often very dark at night. This was where we went and got some food, so there's, you know, your typical rice and dal and little mung beans and things like that you would eat off of metal plates. It was really good. You also have these things, which is it's super alcoholic. It's almost like straight neat spirit, and it comes in these little terracotta bowls, and you can see here not really any street lighting. This is all from people's own personal generators. We met up with an older persons project. This is older deaf people, still part of the same charity, and we went here to Pasupatana, and that is a very large old Hindu temple complex. Here I was getting my photo taken with a couple of the guys I was getting on well with, and then all of a sudden everybody wanted their picture taken, and so we were looking around this huge temple site here, and all these old fantastic carvings all over the place. It was really quite spectacular, and sort of moving on you can see the whole temple complex, and it goes all the way around upside the hill. The interesting thing as well with this place, it's where they do all the cremations, and it's a bit of a sensitive thing. It's just part of it. You go there and it's happening. The thing is that with the cremations, they often happen very quickly. There's people while we were there being brought who'd been in an accident or whatever. They just bring them straight here, and then the family arrive. The whole thing as well with the the Hindu cremation site is that they have the whole caste system, and coming up, one of the the interesting parts was that on the side you have different people, but in the middle of the river there was a little sort of pyre here, you can see, and I asked our translator what this was, and she says, oh, it's for the untouchable caste, and so if you're untouchable you get cremated out in the middle of the river, which is a very sad thing, but it's a cultural thing, and you have to respect these things. The monkeys in here, they all look kind of cool. You see, and the monkeys are like walking around and everything, and all the tourists were going, oh, monkeys, and then our translator, she jumps behind me and she was like, oh my god, and I said, what's the matter? And she was like, the monkeys, she was like, if they bite you, you die, because they have all sorts of diseases and problems like this, and all the tourists are going, oh, look at the monkeys, and she's literally scared to death, at which point I sort of backed away from the monkeys. This here is a stupa, and it's called Bodhnath. It's in the centre of Kathmandu, and these are large Buddhist monuments. They're contained relics or so on and so on. They're quite actually complex. There's all different kinds of structures meaning different things. I'll put a link if people want to read up about it. And here we are, there's a lot of rooftop terraces, restaurants, all sorts of things around this area, and you can kind of go look around, explore. The scale of these things is massive, and there's whole groups of families. You walk around them, as is often the way with these things, the Buddhist prayer wheels, and you walk one way around, turning the wheels, and the idea is it's sending out, you know, sort of good vibes and so on. Lots and lots and lots of prayer flags all over the place. You can buy prayer flags there, and you can take them wherever you're going, or you can place them or add them, or so on and so on. And you know, I grabbed a load because I knew where I was going to be taking them. So here we are, look, it's some looking around the town of Kathmandu. You can see it's extremely busy, it's crowded. Wherever you go, there's tons and tons of people, lots of little vehicles. It's very, very chaotic. The cabling and electricity situation is quite interesting as well. Loads of cables just thing. And so we're taking off now. We're going off to the first part of our journey, and you can see here into the hillside, you see all the levels cut. All this is done by hand, all dug in. Everywhere you go on the hillsides, there are all these levels cut so that they can be used for agriculture, and all the way around, paths and so on. It was one of these great plains here where our pilot is literally, you can just reach around and touch him. So after a little flight, we coming down, and there's a little bit of video coming up here just as we landed. So pretty much we just kind of landed, came in straight. You can see the runway. It's very barren and arid, and you know, it's a total culture shock coming from what you're used to. A little bit of a cheeky smile there. And once we got ourselves sorted, we were kind of gathering our equipment. This place is called Faflu, and it's where we started out. So we started out on our journey here. We're on our way to Gunsa, which is the first place that we're heading to. We were generally walking. You can see the kind of, again, more cutting in here. Up here as well, note there's two little kids up there. And as we were walking around, you find kids all over the place, and they're just doing chores basically, because you know where they are, you've got to work as a child. You've got to help the family. So often out collecting wood or water or whatever it is they need to be gathering, or doing the washing, etc. And this was me. Here's me, got my hat on and everything. The first day was pretty easy going. There's a lot of these kind of nice straight paths, but it did get more severe as we go along. On average, we're doing about 12 miles a day. And here we go, this is, they're using water from the streams to wash, because a lot of these places don't have running water, don't have electricity, don't have anything like this. This, although it was nicely stepped, it went on and on. It's a bit difficult for me to show in individual stills the distances that we were covering, but it really was, it was quite a long way. We were walking every day, and the inclines and the altitude as well. We're generally around, what was it, about 7,000–8,000 feet here, but it goes up as we go on the journey. These huge steel cable bridges here, more prayer flags coming in, prayer flags everywhere, and these here on the side are prayer scarves. There's me standing down by the bridge, and we were going to be crossing the bridge, and then all of a sudden we could hear these guys coming, and it was this sort of pack donkey, and they're bringing firewood back up to the town, the little village that we just passed through. And they often walk miles and miles and miles to get this. We actually passed the kind of wood stuff later on. And it's great, the donkeys, they just know exactly what to do. There's only two guys with all of these, and they just they'll just keep on going. But you can see how hard these things have worked. They're carrying these huge heavy packs every single day. And just here you can see, look around the donkey's shoulder here, you can see how that's rubbed, and just over time, he hasn't even got any hair left on his body there. Okay, so we're walking up through these really lush, see the agriculture from the farms and stuff, and this is just to give you an idea of how far we walked. Right in the distance there, that little place on the hillside that you can barely see there, on the right hand side, there's little white dots. That's where we came from on the first day, so that's only like, I don't know, half a day's walk. This is where they were bringing the firewood from, which was several miles further on. And again, passing kids, just this little girl in the field here, and she was looking after the cows. She's just out working. And okay, light's starting to go now, lots of this. There was amazing light wherever we went, but it was really hard going in the temperature and the altitude and so on. And again, you can see even further now, it's a good extra sort of quarter of the distance we travelled. And so we're starting to lose the light now, coming down into the village we were staying for the first night. And there we are, on that kind of promontory there, you can see the first village, the first night, and we were welcomed as usual with flower garlands, and I got tikka on my head and everything. So they always give you a good welcome wherever you go to in Nepal. And so coming up to the evening here, we've got a bit of music from the village that we were staying in. And the people were coming out to sort of sing, and there was a lot of dancing, people kind of around, and everyone was sort of there to kind of welcome and talk, and it was really kind of a nice evening. And they had a lot of the things where like the guys would be dancing in the village, and then the girls of the village where they would be just doing some dancing and stuff like that, so it was quite a nice welcome. Okay, so here we are, first thing in the morning. It's bloody freezing my arse off. It would regularly drop between, I don't know, -5 to 10 sort of in the evening, so it was very, very cold, and I'm freezing. You can see I've got my kind of more thermal undercoat on my t-shirt there. Still got my tikka from the night before. This is where we stayed. This is the kind of like schoolyard compound where we had our tents and so on. And we had a little look around the village. They were showing us some stuff. When we came back, all the kids of the whole village had lined around, and each of them was carrying prayer scarves or flower garlands. So after we'd finished here, you just literally had a mass of these flowers all around your neck, and then the kids were doing like music, dancing and so on, just because we were there visiting. And look, by the end of it, I got like tikka. This old woman thought it was hilarious to smear tikka all over my head and face, so I got it everywhere. Anyway, so we're heading back out now. We're actually heading back. This is Gunsurat, and we're heading back to Paflu. Right here, you can't see very well, but the whole path had just collapsed, so we only had about, I don't know, half a foot to kind of grab across. One of the girls in my party here stepping over one of the women, and the guy's helping her out. I always think it's nice to kind of stop and look at smaller details, even though you're in these huge landscapes. So there's a few little things like this that I pick up along the way. Again, look at that tiering down the hillside. This was a great photo. I was really pleased with this. I was just walking past, and the people there, and I said, "Can I take your photo?" And they all just sort of stood there, and it was really nice. That was a family farming group, and they were just out working outside. And they were coming down into the valley again, back down to the river that we crossed before, and really feeling it now, sort of going up and down and up and down. And we met these two girls on the way, just walking, and they're just walking off to school. Can you imagine walking to school 10 miles every day up and down these hillsides? It was quite extreme. Again, more valleys and sort of fields full of architecture. More Sherpas here, sort of Buddhist monuments. These are extremely old. You can tell they've probably been there for hundreds and hundreds of years. It's an idea of the kind of incline we're walking up here. A couple of guys in my party. And more prayer flags all over the place. Wherever you go as well, this amazing light, just being up that high with the air so clear. These things here, I wasn't sure what they were at first, but they're actually a Buddhist kind of, I think they're sort of burial positions. They're kind of gravestones almost, but they're done in this really interesting way, and you kind of walk around them. I think it's the idea you have to walk past on the certain side of them, and the idea is, again, it's that sort of flowingness. Little stray dogs, and again more pack donkeys. They're just going back and forth. That's all they do every day, is just shuttle wood back and forth, back and forth. These really amazing light, as I say, just down through all the valleys. And then we've walked through. This is actually the third day now, so we stayed back at Paflu, and then we kept moving again. There's monkeys in the field. The monkeys are like digging around in the dirt trying to find potatoes and stuff. And again, you can see right on the corner there, that's where we've come from. This is walking back up. Again, it's really difficult for me to show you the distance involved, but that is like maybe sort of 10% of that entire distance we were. So imagine that picture, but like times 10. Okay, here's me and a bit of mountains in the backside. You can see we're going up in altitude now, so probably about 8,000 feet now walking up. And then we came into this amazing forest, and it was like Endor or something. These huge trees, roots going right across the path that you were walking on, and massive branches creaking all over the place. It was absolutely astonishing. And here we are. This is the thing. Anybody who's got wondering what the sort of toilet situations were over there, this is what you've got. It's a porcelain hole in the ground, and this was good, you know, and a little bowl of water by the side to sort yourself out afterwards. This was an extra thing that we could do. We'd already walked like 12 miles, but there was the option to do an extra 2, which I did. It took you up to sort of 10,000 feet, which was very hard going, I have to say. I kind of wish I hadn't done it afterwards. I felt pretty unwell. But look at this. This is one of my fave pics of the whole trip, to be honest. This astonishing light and the mist across. So this is where we were staying now. This would have been our 4th night. 1, 2, 3, 4th night. Stayed there. It was again bloody freezing, and we started on for the sort of the 5th day now, walking across this huge suspension bridge there, and you can see into the rock there. Can you see it's all carved? And my expression here, not too happy. The reason for this is, for one thing, my backpack was considerably heavier than everyone else, so we're going up quite an extreme incline now. Second, I also was starting to suffer from quite bad altitude sickness at this point, and I was really having a hard time sort of going at all. And I was really starting to struggle with that. Coming up onto this next picture in the middle, you can see the distance we travelled the day before. From that village we went up to the very centre of that peak, up to the top where that Sherpa was. You can see me here looking not pleased. I really was feeling pretty rough at this point. I had a pounding headache, and I was really struggling to breathe. I couldn't catch my breath. It was very hard to breathe. I can't even really explain how it felt. It was very harsh. I was struggling to even take 2 or 3 steps at a time without having to stop and catch my breath. I couldn't even feel my head. I was in such agony, and as I say, the guides took my backpack off of me. They wouldn't let me go on if I was carrying it, so I had to go on without. We were walking from between 9 to 14,000 feet here. You can see, still not pleased, but I was insistent that I was going to get right to the very top. I have to say, if it hadn't been for sort of the strength and thought that my girlfriend had given me at the time, the idea that, because I said that I would do this, and you know, it really pushed me through. If it hadn't been for her, I probably wouldn't have been able to, because I was just hanging on to it. And these are the things that you hang on to when you're in these situations, these yaks up here on the top. And here I am sort of struggling my way to the very top here, the last section, and finally managed to get up there, managed to place my my prayer flags, prayer scarves up on the very top of the mountain, and you can really see the height here where the clouds are rolling in all over these pictures and all over the top here. But as I say, it was honestly one of the hardest things I've ever done, and it really sort of changes you, makes you realise when you're in those kind of situations what you're capable of. I never thought I'd be in a situation where I had to deal with feeling that bad. And you know, the other thing is, when you're out there, you have no real way. You can't go back. There's nowhere to go. You have to keep on going. There is no option. You can't give up. You have to keep going, because there is no choice. There's no option. You know, there's no way of going back again. There's no one to take you back or go to. So you have to just keep on going. So now we've kind of cleared our way. We've gone right to the very top at sort of 14,500 feet, and we're working our way back down again. This is a huge village here. You can see all over that hillside there, prayer flags everywhere. And look at this astonishing light as we came back down. It was unbelievable. It was like the clouds just opened up. It really reminds me of that bit on Lord of the Rings where they come crashing down the hillside and all the horses. It was just like that. Anyway, we're walking back down here. As I say, this is a large kind of temple town here. It's a Buddhist place. The dog here. The dog had a ruff. If you know what a ruff is, it's what people used to wear. I think it was Victorian or Tudor times. I think it was Tudor times, actually. And they used to have these things around their neck in the UK, you know, those big white sort of fan things. The dog had a ruff, which was really weird. This is a Buddhist temple. We're actually allowed to go into it, and they're sort of burning these gorgeous oil lamps, the sort of decoration and redness. There was much better pictures I had as well, but here we are outside, and they have this, it's really gorgeously kept, lots of nice flags. We were actually allowed into the central chamber, and they said we could take pictures, but I didn't really feel it was very respectful with all the monks in there to be taking pictures, so I didn't do that. Then we carried on working down, and again we did about 15 to 16 miles on this day. It was very heavy going, and then we stayed the night again. I woke up the next day, I still wasn't feeling awesome. I'm not looking that great here. I sort of was still feeling a little bit rough, still recovering. We've come down now to about 9,000 feet, so we've come quite a way down. And now we're working our way back through the villages and the valleys. This was a much nicer day. It was really relaxing, and we kind of got to walk all through the kind of lower valley, more of these sort of things. The dog here, we're just walking along, this little dog, and he just pops his head out and he's like, hello everybody. So all these rocks as well, everywhere you go, rocks with these kind of inscriptions written all over them, painted on them. It's gorgeous, huge boulders, and the whole thing is carved and cut out. It's absolutely fantastic. Working our way back through the towns, I was really interested by some of the architecture and the way they just hold these things. And it's like they've got shingles all over the roof, but they're just weighted down with stones. Here we are, more Sherpas, and again, as I say, they're all slightly different as you go along. They all have different meanings. If you bother to sort of read up and look about it, it's quite interesting. Prayer flags here. This is the town of Jambezi. A little girl there sort of waving us on. Not waving, but she did. Here I am, still looking pissed off and miserable, but I have to say it's one of my fave pics actually, because I kind of, the kind of nice background, and it kind of really reminds me that, you know, I kind of did that and I was on the way. Really like these kind of grasses here. There's a lot of nice kind of natural things. I quite like taking natural photographs, especially kind of close-up stuff. So we're making our way back to Paphloo, and this would be the sort of 5th, 6th day I think by now. This path was hilarious. They built this path and it goes on, but it's really, it was really jagged and things, and I said you'd be much better off to not have that thing at all. I was walking pretty hard even though I was feeling still very ill. You can see that's my party there, so I was quite far ahead of the group. I was just walking with the main guide here, and I generally did that throughout. I was walking pretty fast. These amazing sort of mountains we're walking through though, and the rivers here as well. We stopped at many places like this to just kind of stop, have food and so on before we carried on, which was really nice. I wanted to jump in that river so badly at this point, you have no idea. Unfortunately the river's probably about freezing point because it's so cold, but I very, very badly, it looks so inviting, you know, when you've been walking for miles every day. Badly wanted to jump in there. These really nice little houses, but again, look at all this terracing and stuff. It's such hard work. The people have to work so hard to maintain themselves. I forgot to say as well, on this day, my hands, the day before, from all that walking and being unwell, had got severely sunburnt, so I ended up wrapping my hands to protect them because I was in quite a lot of pain just from light being on my hands, but still a smile on my face right at the very end of everything. And yeah, so that was it. So this was my little trip. It was very, very good. Yeah, there we go, you can see. Quite nasty burning on my hands there. That was from just the day before, from the wind and the being up so high with the sun on them all day long, and yeah, it really was quite a rough day. So this whole trip was an amazing trip. That's my Maltesers ball. I had a packet of Maltesers in the back, my backpack I forgot about, and they all just got melted together. But here we are, we're packing up for the plane and getting ready to head back to Kathmandu and the next stage of our journey. And here's me, standing outside in front of the mountains. This journey, this whole thing was quite astonishing. It was really quite changing for me. I don't know, I just kind of achieved a lot, and the whole process of just walking so far and being around and talking to everyone else, it was a real group experience. It was a great building experience. It really, and this entire trip in general, the people that I met and the places that I went to and the people I spoke to, it did really strengthen me and change me as a person, and I came back with a whole different outlook on my life. But that's all for me, you know. But I would definitely advise anyone, if you ever get the opportunity, to absolutely do this, because whilst they can be sometimes a little bit intimidating to start, it really is something that you must do, because if you don't, you might never have the opportunity again. And I would love to do it again, but I don't know when I may have the opportunity. So guys, I hope this has been a little bit of a nice little view of something that I've done in my life. I think it was quite a good one for 15k, and I hope that you've enjoyed sort of looking through and hearing about my journey. I'll just leave you now with this last final pic, which I say we've seen already, but it's my favourite one. It really shows the whole kind of atmosphere and the light and just the kind of air, the feeling that I had when I was there. And it's a really important trip for me, because that whole day where I was in agony, but I still managed to achieve my goal, it just kind of made me realise what you can achieve and what I can achieve as a person when you put your mind to it and you fight on through. So that's been my video today, guys, to say thank you for 15k subscribers. I hope it's been interesting for you. It's great for me to look back and think about it, because I remembered a lot that I didn't at the time. It was a hard experience, an often enjoyable experience, a spiritual experience in some ways, but I came out of it at the end feeling a lot stronger person, and I thank you for watching today.